Seems like the incident with Shanquella Robinson is not only her friend's fault. New details revealed connected to the hospital where she was supposed to get necessary help. Let's jump in. First of all, let us quickly remind. On October 28, 2022, Robinson traveled to Mexico with a friend and 5 fellow travelers, 3 women and 3 men for a short vacation. Shanquella settled in a villa in the city of Cabo, San Lucas, Mexico, with ocean view, 5 luxury bedrooms, open kitchen. It costs about $1,300 per night. The company had a great time together. Shanquella called her mother, Salamander Robinson, sharing her emotions and promised to call back the next day. However, on October 29, the woman was pronounced dead. We all have already seen that very brutal video where Shanquella got beaten. Before that happened, Khalil, the girl's best friend, contacted her mother and informed her that she was not feeling well. This certainly greatly alarmed her mother, but she did not receive an unambiguous answer, or rather, she received an obvious lie in her direction. After all, her friends convinced her that the girl was completely to blame for her death since she did not control her alcohol consumption, which led to poisoning and a terrible state of health. All 6 so-called friends told the story in different ways and could not agree on a common version. As the mother of the deceased said, nevertheless, all the participants in this brutal murder hypocritically tried to empathize with the parents of Shanquella Robinson. New update has proven that there might actually be some element of truth to this story. There are hundreds of conspiracy theories about this accident. Initially, some people, though, that it was just a severe quarrel between friends, which obviously sounds silly as far as we all have seen that very popular video. One of the guesses was that friends just wanted to rob Shanquella, which is also not so popular opinion. Most of us feel that that was some kind of revenge. Probably Shanquella did somehow betrayed or disappointed her so-called friends, but no one can say for sure. As we have already told in previous videos, a doctor was called to a woman in a serious condition, but they refused to take her to the hospital. There was a theory that friends bribed him. Furthermore, the new report have just revealed that it might have not been entirely their fault. According to the new details that have come out, the hospital that was supposed to have treated Robinson seems to have had plans of its own, which might have made things 10 times worse for her or even led Shanquella to ultimate demise. According to excerpts from a police report obtained by the Charlotte Observer, a doctor from a local hospital in Mexico was with Shanquella Robinson and other members for about 3 hours just before the woman was pronounced dead on October 29. According to the latest reports and news in Mexico, authorities say that at 2:13 p.m. on October 29th, medical aid was summoned to the villa where Shanquella and her vacation crew were staying located in San Jose del Cabo. And an hour later, Dr. Gutierrez from the American Medical Center arrived to assist Robinson. And Gutierrez was then told by others that Robinson had just overdosed with alcohol, so she decided to give Robinson an IV. According to Gutierrez's report, she found a female with stable vital signs, but unable to talk and dehydrated, and appearing to be inebriated. Gutierrez said that Robinson was needed to be transferred to a hospital, but friends insisted to leave her just there. But what's interesting is that Cabo 6 actually had a reason to leave her in the villa. According to the details from her friends themselves, they have reportedly called the hospital before Dr. Gutierrez came to them. However, they were highly surprised that the hospital billed them $5,000, even before any form of care that could be given to Robinson, and all this taking into account that her condition was really critical at that moment. This is what led friends to contact the American Medical Center, and by extension, Dr. Gutierrez. Furthermore, roughly an hour after Gutierrez's visit, Robinson began to have seizure and 911 was called consequently by one of the housemates. Shanquella Robinson was struggling to survive at that moment as had not got any medical help yet. She was suffering from difficulty breathing and pretty lowered pulse. At 4:49 p.m., Gutierrez detected that Robinson had stopped having a pulse at all. They were giving her the CPR. As reports say, police arrived at 5:25 p.m. and paramedics administered a total of 14 rounds of CPR, 5 doses of adrenaline, and 6 discharges, which without any success. As a result, Shanquella was pronounced dead at 5:57 p.m. The fact remains that the hospital, which is called Est Luke's Hospital, had its own goodies in mind when the incident was first reported, and while this doesn't completely negate all the atrocities committed by the Cabo, this move at the hospital pulled is actually something that's been happening too. U.S. citizens vacationing Mexico for a while now. According to the news, the hospital has made its mantra to always overcharge all American citizens if they have anything to do with healthcare. And now it's gotten out of hand, so out of hand that even the American government is aware of just how terrible this hospital has been to American citizens over the years. According to reports from Washington, the U.S. government is warning Americans to avoid a hospital at a Mexican beach destination, following years of complaints that the facility preyed on Americans by overcharging, bullying them, and refusing to release medical records. More than 100,000 U.S. tourists arrive in Los Cabos at the southern tip of the Baja California peninsula each month. Drawn by its beaches and dramatic desert landscape, it appears they are not only a boon to the hotels and restaurants of Twin Towns, Cabo, San Lucas, and San Jose del Cabo, but also St. Luke's Hospital and Cabo San Lucas. Multiple complaints have been filed by U.S. citizens saying the hospital demanded tens of thousands of dollars in advance payments, threatened patients' relatives, and refused to release clinical reports on what care they had actually provided. That led the U.S. consulate in Tijuana to issue the unusual health alert about St. Luke's business practices. U.S. citizens have reported instances of withholding care for payment, failing to provide itemized lists of charges, ordering unnecessary procedures, withholding U.S. passports, obstructing medical evacuations, and refusing to discharge patients without payment. The consulate said in the alert, the consulate urged citizens to go to other hospitals listed on the consulate's webpage. Considering that these details actually came from the federal government, it tells you that the account that was given by Shanquella's friends actually checks out, but the news about the hospital gets even worse. There is some evidence that Luke's pays or otherwise compensates ambulances and hotels to send American patients there. The consulate wrote, "Please be advised that hotels and resorts in the Los Cabos area may have existing contracts or informal relationships with St. Luke's." That was an apparent reference to reports in local media that the hospital pays ambulance drivers to channel American patients to St. Luke's. Looks like there's almost no end to just how far the hospital is willing to go just to get a few bucks in their pocket. However, this does not in any way translate to Shanquella's friends not being involved. In fact, you could say they are just as sketchy as the hospital because there were quite a few holes in their story. You see, while Robinson's body had already been examined by professionals in the country. It's worth mentioning that none of Robinson's physical injuries were mentioned in the report. According to the autopsy report, Robinson's cause of death was severe spinal cord injury and atlas luxation, which has left her family searching for answers for the original story. Shanquella Robinson died within the first hours of a group trip to Cabo, Mexico, and now her family is trying to piece together why and how she died. The year-old went on a trip to Mexico with her friends and never made it back alive. And while her death is indeed tragic, it was how she died that was generating an outsized amount of commentary on social media. Robinson went to Mexico with a group of 6 friends and was found dead in a hotel room less than hours later. The friends called her mom and said she died from alcohol poisoning, but the autopsy report showed her neck had been broken and her spine was cracked. A video purportedly shows Robinson being brutally beaten by another woman in an apparent hotel room with a tropical view seen from a balcony. The woman in the video, identified as Robinson, is not shown. Defending herself in the one-sided fight, the breed clip shows Robinson being punched in the head and face multiple times and throw it on the floor before more blows are rained down on her. According to recent news reports, the Federal Bureau of Investigations has now gotten involved in the suspicious death of Robinson. The federal agency has allegedly intervened on behalf of Shanquella's parents, Salamandra and Bernard Robinson, who reported her death after Mexican authorities suggested there was no foul play. However, this new angle involving St. Luke's Hospital just might be the one piece they needed all line to close the case. In fact, a lot of people now also seem to think that medical professionals involved in the whole case should also face the law, like this user who wrote the doctor who came to the village to treat Shanquella Robinson told her friends that she needed to go to the hospital, but her friends refused. The doctor needs his or her license revoked and to face criminal charges as well. No one is sure if the FBI will actually pick an interest in this aspect of the whole story, but one certain thing is that all the medical professionals involved in the case are now on the public radar, and that just brings the truth one step closer to getting out. Now it's only a matter of time till we find out everything that happened exactly, but until then, we can only wait. That is all for today. To always stay up to date, don't forget to subscribe to the channel